Hey guys, it's Katelyn along with Maddie and Sophie because today I'm going to be doing a video all about my experiences of telling people about my dolls and my AGTube channel. Now, I have gotten a lot of questions about this topic in the past. I've gotten things like, do you tell your friends? If you do, how do you do it? And how did they react? And things like that. So I thought I would just make one big video about it because I feel like it would be helpful to you guys because I always find videos such as this one are very helpful. So I thought that I would make one and share my experiences and advice with you guys. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you 4 different experiences that I've had when it comes to telling people about my dolls and my channel. And then I'm also going to be telling you guys my top 3 tips when it comes to actually telling your own friends about your channel. So let's get started. Ooh, look at my playset. How nice is that? So this story goes back almost about 3 years ago to 7th grade. I was at a sleepover with my 7th grade best friend. This girl that I was best friends with at the time is actually not my friend anymore, but we were best friends at the time and I was over at her house for a sleepover. Her and I were talking and she was talking about how she always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and she was kind of asking me for help because she knew that I knew how to edit videos because I've told her that, but she didn't know that I obviously had my own YouTube account or anything like that. And around this time was when we first started the channel, so we only had about 100 subscribers when I told her about this. I think we had 200 or something like that. So with that being said, I did in the end decide to tell her about my YouTube, obviously, and the biggest reason why I wanted to tell her is because I thought she would be impressed, and she was very impressed. I showed her some stop motions that I've done and she thought it was really cool, and I felt really proud of myself. So at first I thought that it was a great idea to tell her. But later on I was sadly proved wrong, and I did regret telling her for a little bit because we were friends for the rest of 7th grade, but then at the beginning of 8th grade in the fall, she did make a mistake that caused a situation that really hurt me, so I didn't want to be friends with her anymore. And so I was very worried because honestly, when I realized that I didn't want to be friends with her anymore, we weren't necessarily enemies, we just didn't talk, and you know how girls are, I bet most of you do, with how they talk and everything, and I was very worried that she was going to be talking about me and that she was going to tell everybody. She never said a word about the YouTube account, and I could be wrong, but obviously no one came up to me and asked me about it. It never got out, so I assume she never told anybody. And honestly, I was worried and psyching myself out for no reason because honestly to this day I strongly believe that she honestly just forgot about it because our views were so low at the time and low subscriber rate. She didn't really care enough to remember, and so she doesn't even remember now. So my second story is probably the most interesting one, to be honest, because this one is about my ex-boyfriend. So I have only had one boyfriend, and it has been this boy, and me and him have been on and off for almost 2 years now. We were dating towards the end of 7th grade, and then we broke up towards the end of freshman year for good. Now honestly, between you and me, I'm not proud of this relationship at all for many reasons, this being one of them. And that's because the reason that he found out about my YouTube is because I would tease him that I had a secret. I would always tease him about it because he would always, me and him, as we were getting to know each other, he would always be telling me stuff about him. So I did eventually tell him that I do collect American Girl dolls, and he was completely fine with that. But he did kind of get the impression that later on that I was doing something else, because sometimes he would text me, for instance, and he would ask what I'm doing, and I'd say filming a video, and then later on he would ask oh, what were you filming, and I didn't know what to say. So he did of course get the impression that I made videos, and obviously he put 2 and 2 together and asked me if I had a YouTube account, and then I thought he would never ever find it, so I teased him about it, and I was oh yeah, I make them with Marissa, because he knew who Marissa was, and yeah, I make a ton of videos and all this fun stuff and blah blah blah. I don't even remember, that was a long time ago. But to my surprise, he actually did find my channel because due to some of our tags and our Q&As, if you type in Katelyn and Marissa, some of our Q&As do come up and things like that. But he found the video, and in the first scene of the video, I was wearing my Converse shoes that I always wear, and he knew I wore those shoes, so he knew that that was me, and he asked me about it, and I cried when he found out. It was pretty horrible for me. So when he found out, we had about 700 some subscribers on our channel, and I want to say that we were about like 7 or 8 months into actually having the channel. So I mean, it was still kind of relatively new to us, even though we have almost been doing it for a year. And honestly, as soon as he found out, I was like super embarrassed and super scared, and I was like begging him not to tell anyone. And he did. He was kind of like a emotional person. Like, he understood that like it bothered me that he found it, and he immediately felt bad about it. And he like promised not to tell, and that was that. And I would rarely bring it up to him because I honestly wanted him to forget about it. As I just told you guys a while ago, we did recently end the end of freshman year. So I remember when we broke up, he was very angry just for reasons that I actually don't even understand, so I can't tell you guys. But he was very angry, and so I was really afraid that he was going to tell somebody. He never told anybody. I start sophomore year next week. I start on Tuesday the 25th of August, and nobody has said anything to me all summer, and we broke up like with like a whole month of school left. Like, no one said anything after that. Like, honestly, I think that he forgot, just like the girl from 7th grade did, and so I don't think he cared enough about me to remember that either. So dolls before dudes. So my third story involves my camp friends from last year's camp, which was the summer of 2014. So I decided to tell them during rest hour, and if you guys have never been to camp and don't know what rest hour is basically where you're able to like go back to your cabin or tent or whatever you're at, and you can just like hang out there for an hour and you can talk to your friends and stuff. And so I decided to tell them then because we were all sharing secrets. Since this was last summer when I decided to tell them, I had about 1,000 subscribers at this time, and when I did tell them, they were highly impressed with me. It was camp, so I didn't have my phone, so it's not like I could show them or anything like that. So I did tell them that like if you do want to see it, like I'll give you the username at the end of camp. None of them asked me for it at the end of camp, I think just because they forgot. Because they thought it was really cool for the time being when I did tell them, and of course I did not have my phone, as I said, so I couldn't show them or anything. So my fourth and final story is actually pretty recent, and it dates back to the beginning of May, I believe, and it's with my two best friends that I had this year. So basically, I decided to tell them during chorus study hall one day, because some days in chorus, since I'm in high school, we have a study hall if like my teacher isn't there, or if we don't have any music to practice or something like that. And what we do during chorus study hall is that since there's a ton of girls in my chorus class, and I mean a ton of girls, the chorus room is always like completely full. So we like to go and sit in this little like hallway right outside the chorus room, and we just sit there and we talk during study hall. So while we were there, I decided to tell them because they were talking about YouTubers and like how they really wanted to start a YouTube channel, but they didn't think they'd be able to make it. So I decided to tell them, and this was honestly the best reaction that I've ever gotten out of anybody. Both of them gave me the best reaction about my channel. They thought it was the coolest thing ever. They're so impressed. Like, I remember when they went home, I texted them the username, and they were like scrolling through my entire channel. They watched all these videos, and they were like so impressed with me, and still to this very day, both of them will text me about it. One of the girls recently texted me like congrats on 6,000 when we hit 6,000. Like, they're very supportive about it. Alright guys, so those are all 4 of my stories and experiences that I'm going to be telling you guys today. I hope you guys learned something from them, because I honestly feel like that there's little lessons to be learned in each of the stories. That's why I wanted to share them with you all. So now I'm going to be telling you guys my top 3 tips when it comes to telling your friends about your channel. My first tip is to be sure that you really want to tell them, and that's because you don't know how they're gonna react, and you need to understand that once you tell them, you told them and they know, and there's no way that you can take back the words that you said, and you need to also be prepared for both reactions, a good and bad reaction. My second tip is to tell them straight out and in a private place, because if you walk around the idea and you don't tell them straight out, then they might get confused and they might get the wrong idea. So honestly, I recommend telling them straight out first and then trying to explain it to them, because I know that it can be kind of hard for people to understand sometimes. So make sure that you tell them straight out first and then explain, or else I bet that they're gonna get confused. And be sure to just tell them in a private place, because if you want to only tell that person, just tell them in a private place and you'll be sure that you're only telling that person. My third and final tip is if they really are your friends, they're going to understand and they're going to accept you for who you are. Let's say you got a bad reaction. don't sweat it. Don't do what I did and worry about it and psych yourself out about things that may or may not happen, because you never know what's gonna happen. And the reason that you told your friend in the first place is because you were proud of your work and you wanted to share that with them. And if they're not gonna understand that, then they're truly not your friend, and you really shouldn't care, because you should be proud of your work either way, regardless of what everyone else says. And you'll always have your friends here on AGTube who share the same passion as you and will always understand. So don't sweat it. Alright, well that's about it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and did find it helpful. Go ahead and comment down below any of your experiences with telling your friends, because I would really love for you guys to share some of your experiences. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. Also, if you're planning on telling any of your friends anytime soon, I wish you the best of luck, and remember, you're awesome no matter what they say, and you should be proud that you love dolls, because dolls are great. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye! It's Sydney the Dudes. Goodbye!